everybody, it's Cindy here, and what I want to do today is go ahead and do a review of two composting toilets. Both of them are on this property and owned. First one will be the Nature's Head composting toilet. My parents have that in their cabin, and we've now had to go through a full empty of the solids tank, so I can give you a much better review of that. And then the other toilet is a Sunmar toilet. It's the one that you hand crank to turn the drum inside. So it's one of their more basic models, but it does have an exhaust fan. So I've been using that one for almost 2 years, and so let's get into getting the review done. Okay, this is the Sunmar compact version of their toilet. As you can see, the one I got has these finish issues. I tried to get the company that I ordered it through to honor the warranty. They would not honor the warranty. They said that I would have to pay the shipping both directions. And this actually occurred to the toilet within about 2 weeks of taking it out of the box. You can also hear the fan. That also happened about 2 weeks after I got it plugged into the wall. It used to be super quiet, then all of a sudden it just started making all this noise. Those are my two major complaints with this toilet, and that, what was the name of the place? ShopTinyHouse.com had such bad customer service. I did contact Sunmar over this, and they said that I needed to go through where I purchased it from, so I didn't get a lot of help on their end. This is the microbe mix that you can buy for this toilet. I wanted to test out both brands, see what I liked better. I absolutely hate the liquid one. It spills everywhere, it makes a mess. So I actually use the powdered version. I put a scoop in every 2 weeks, and it actually helps break down the waste in the toilet. Also, they have this Compost Sure Green for their toilets. It is, let me show you, it is like a mulch, and you put 1 scoop in there once a day for each person. As you saw, I have a toilet paper can next to the toilet because I have found that the toilet paper seems to all stick together in the toilet, and it is not pleasant. It doesn't biodegrade, even though it's a compostable toilet paper. So there is that. So I put the paper in a can. It's not a big deal. It's got a regular toilet seat, which I like, and it has very similar dimensions to a regular toilet on the front end. Obviously, it's much wider and longer. The drum inside holds 2 5-gallon buckets of waste. So it's got a huge drum. I only have to empty it about every 6 months. I've been using this toilet for about 2 years now. In here is a liner that comes out. I scrub this thing all the time. And then inside the drum is nasty. But because when you rotate the drum, you can actually, I don't know why I closed that. You can rotate the drum all the way around. It's gross, but you can also rotate it backwards, which causes waste to fall down into this drawer down here. If I can get it open. This is another issue with this toilet. This drawer sticks, and then you have waste that drops down in here. Now, the only problem is that the mesh on the drawer does not really let as much fall down as it should. You shouldn't have to scoop this toilet. I've now had to scoop it every 6 months. I have a ladle that I modified. I take 2 5-gallon buckets out through the top. Thank God there is no smell to it, because that would have just done me in. But the drawer it doesn't have the capacity, and the clumps are way too big in there. And if you put toilet paper in there, it's even worse. So I use the drawer for what I can use it for. The smaller pieces fall through, but it doesn't compost as well as they claim it does. One thing I like about this toilet is that urine and condensation moisture actually have a tube Down here, sorry it's so dusty and crusty, but I don't clean behind the toilet when I'm working. And that tube goes outside the house into a 4-foot deep gravel pit with 6 inches of dirt on top of that gravel. And so the urine doesn't have to be taken out in a jug or anything. It's completely dealt with. And so it helps keep the mixture in the toilet quite a bit more dry. It also keeps the smell down because the ammonia and nitrogen and all of that in there are just not present. This toilet, the vent on the back where the fan blows out through the wall, it actually goes up above my roof line, and so there's no smell down at ground level for any smells that may be venting. And I know that it pulls smell out because we've actually had to disconnect this from the wall and forgot to turn off the fan once, and there was a smell. It was bad. So it is good. It is a very tall toilet. As you see, I put a step in front of it. I'm 5'8", and I have to use a step stool to get onto this toilet. The grandbabies, they use the step stool, and then I have to lift them. And they're not short. They come up to my waist. So it's a very tall toilet. It's a very wide toilet. And the depth of it is very long. I think the depth is like 35 inches. So it's not a teeny tiny little toilet. I am going to be putting in the Incinolette, which is why I've left this portion of the wall open. After Thanksgiving, I'm going to get some more wire and run a dedicated 20 amp circuit just for that toilet. And in a couple of years, I will actually replace this and put this toilet out in the greenhouse. So it's not a horrible toilet. It definitely does what it's supposed to do, except that it just doesn't do it as well as I would like it to. It's much easier to deal with this toilet than the other toilet that we're going to review here in a minute, which is the Nature's Head toilet. I tried to get my parents to buy this one, and they wanted to go with something different and smaller, and there's some issues with all of that. So the other problem with this toilet is I have potty training grands. As you can see, their little seat there on the floor, and any man that sits on this toilet, if they urinate, it actually does come out the front of the toilet because it hits that liner in there, and it actually just rides it up and comes out the front, and then you end up with dribbles on the floor, which, you know, I guess most people are used to that, but when you're on a subfloor, it's not as pleasant. So there's some little issues that are just, with my case, the potty training issues. They've got to learn to pee better. Hopefully they can pee outside soon. And then it's a good toilet though. I really like it. Definitely not going to get rid of it, going to put it into the greenhouse. When we replace my parents' toilet, we'll probably actually pressure wash and steam clean it and see if we can get it sold, so that we have this one in the greenhouse and we don't need the other one. So that's what I think of the Sunmar compact electric fan toilet. Okay, this is the Nature's Head toilet, and it's also fully composting. However, it has a urine bucket. My parents are in their late 70s. This is not an easy toilet for them to deal with. If you're young, in the 20s, this is an excellent toilet, and it's inexpensive. So if you're young, definitely go with this toilet. This one does not have a toilet seat. It's just this little ring on it. And it's got a little flip valve on the side to open it. It does have a vent and a fan, and we just have not yet installed that. So that's one of our future projects here, but that will take away the smell that this toilet has. It has a ring on the side for you to spin the toilet, which I forgot to tell you, on the Sunmar, it's actually a handle that pulls out on the front and you spin it. It's not a problem. It's out of the way. You don't snag on it. So it's just a difference of where the spinner is put on this toilet. This toilet, we just finally had to empty the base, And this entire top section actually comes off. There's hooks on the side that are not easy, and the whole thing opens, and that whole section of the toilet comes off. As I said, my parents are in their 70s. I had to empty this, and it was hard for me to do because when it's full, it is not light. They also have a special brick of peat stuff that you put in here, and it expands with water. So they have their own version of the compost bag stuff. But this toilet, if you're older or need ease of use, is not a good toilet. This toilet is great for young people that are in the prime of health and can carry all this stuff around, or if there's an emergency and you need a toilet for emergency use. I had to use a dolly to pull this toilet out of here and get it out to where it needed to be emptied. And again, you know, it went into where the orchard's going, so it's not a big deal. It also does not compost down as well. I'm going to try and get them some of the microbes that I put in mine and see if it helps, but it just doesn't digest well. Neither toilet can take toilet paper, is what we've found. Both toilets, if you put toilet paper in them, you get these giant balls inside of there that the toilet paper seems to like magnet together somehow. And you end up with these giant balls of toilet paper that are just nearly impossible to deal with. So both of us have trash cans on the side of the toilets to put the toilet paper in. I am actually going to get out of here because it is freezing cold in their house because they're not here. But both toilets have their pluses and minuses. Ooh, it's even colder out here because it's windy. Sorry about the wind, folks. Back across real quick. Oh, warmth. Anyhow, there's pluses and minuses to both toilets. I have actually found an Australian company that does a toilet separate. They have the urine tube like mine does, so that the urine is separated out and goes into a gravel pit like mine does. And then it has bags that go in, and you can take the bag, the compostable bag, out of the toilet and dispose of just the bag. You don't have to lift and carry the entire unit. I'm going to put a link for those as well. And from what I can tell, they run about the same price as the Nature's Head toilet. So I think you would get a much better value and a much easier use if you got the separate, if you were looking for a toilet like that. If you're looking something like the Sunmar, it is a good toilet. It's just a little bit harder to use when you get one that doesn't work right. But it's a good toilet. I like it. And it's actually going to go into the greenhouse as soon as the greenhouse is built and I get the Incinelet in here. So it's not one that I would get rid of. Definitely worth the money for use if you get a good one. They are bigger than a standard toilet. That toilet takes up 35 inches wide, or depth from the wall to the outside edge of the toilet, and it's 23 inches wide side to side. So they are bigger. The Nature's Head is like 18 by 23, and the Separate is, I think, 18 by 15 or something of that nature. It's much smaller. So my parents will gain a little bit of floor space in their very tiny bathroom. So if you have a tiny bathroom or even an RV, the Separate may actually be better for you, and it's got such an ease of emptying, especially the urine diverting one. They do have one with a jug that you can pull. For some reason that one costs a little bit more, but they do have a jug version as well, but they still take up that smaller floor space. So those are my thoughts on these two composting toilets with some good options if you want something different. Like I said, I will be switching to the Incinelet. I will put in enough solar to power it and not have to worry about it. They do have to go on a dedicated 20 amp circuit though. So make sure if you're going to put an incendiette in that you're ready for loud noise like a jet engine while it's burning. It burns for about 15 minutes and then it's quiet the rest of the time. And it does have to have its own circuit. So plan ahead, because it's something I didn't plan ahead for because I didn't know the problems I was going to have with this toilet. Also, when you get them, don't install, let them sit for a month if you can, because obviously with the finish on mine, I've got issues where the finish wasn't any good and I can't send it back because I can't pressure wash a toilet and afford the shipping to send it back. So, and there's a couple of cabin places that sell all of these toilets. There's also another incinerating toilet that is quieter than the Incinelette, but it's also twice the price. So an Incinelette is going to run you about $1,700-$1,800, and the Norwegian version is called a Cinderella incinerating toilet, and they run about $4,600. So that's why I'm going with the Incinelette. I'm on retirement, that's what I can afford. So think about affordability when you're buying them, but also plan in what the usage is. How often are you going to use it? How many people are going to use it? Make sure you get a toilet that is sized correctly. If you get a toilet that's too small, you're going to have to empty it more frequently. And so the composting really doesn't happen, so you are dealing with a lot less digested waste. That's really big with the Nature's Head ones because they just don't digest like the Sunmar does. Sunmar also has some where if your foundation is get it together, Cindy. If your foundation is taller, they have where it can drop down into a larger tank that will hold several hundred gallons, and it's got an electric stirrer, and then you don't have to deal with it at all, and you just shovel it out when it gets down to the finely meshed out end or whatever. Haven't really looked into those because I'm not on a tall foundation. So that is something that if you are in a house that's already built and you want to replace these, if you've got a crawl space that you can put an opening to put in one of those taller toilets with the tank underneath the floor, then that might be a really good option as well. They definitely handle larger families. I think they've got a tank that handles like 10 people. My tank handles one person. So when I have visitors, I have to empty more frequently. So keep all of these things in mind when you go to purchase the toilet. So I hope it helps. Sorry that it got a little bit rambling, but there's so many little things that click into my mind. Anyhow, if you enjoyed this content, please like it, share it, and please subscribe. And I will see you all later.